All right, we're going to learn solving linear equations with multiple steps. Okay, so we're going to be combining, adding, subtracting, and multiplying and dividing all it together. All right, and you're going to notice with these questions a little bit different than the other two sections. You're going to have multiple letters in the questions. All right, so when you see a question with multiple letters, the best thing to do is write the letter V for variable and N for numbers above each letter. All right, so the first step is always the same. All right, is to draw a dotted line where the equal sign is. Okay, the second step, if you want, is to write the letter V's and N's above each term. Okay, so 6a is going to be a V because it's a variable. 5a is going to be a variable. And then the negative 11 is going to be an N because it's just a number. Okay, so V stands for variable and N stands for number. And what I want to do is get all my V's on one side of the dotted line and all my N's on the other. Okay, so for this questions, the V's are already on the left side, so I don't need to move anything, and the N is on the right side. It doesn't really matter if I want the V's on the right side or the left side. If they're already on the left side, just leave them there. Okay, so from here, all I'm going to do is add the two V's together. Now on your calculator, you might not have an A button. Okay, so you don't type 6a plus 5a. You're just going to write 6 plus 5 on your calculator, and that's going to give you 11. All right, and you're going to notice when I'm adding variables, it just stays as a. It doesn't turn into like a square or anything like that. It's just 11a is the answer. Okay, now on this side I have negative 11, and some of you might feel like you're done the question. All right, but this is a multi-step question, so I have to do multiple steps. Okay, and the next step I need to do is to get the a by itself. All right, so if I want that a by itself, right now the a is being multiplied by 11, so I need to divide both sides by 11. All right, on the left side, 11a divided by 11 will be 1a. On the right side, negative 11 divided by 11 will be negative 1. And that is my final answer. All right, again, if you wanted to write a equals negative 1, that is also all right to write. Okay, you don't need to write the 1 in front of the letter. It's up to you. All right, let's try this second example, question B. Okay, so I'm going to draw a dotted line where the equal sign is. I'm going to write the letter V's and N's above each term. 6 is an N, 1 is an N. This negative 2N is a V. Okay, there's a variable there, there's a letter. And this 5 is an N. So in this question, you're going to notice there's N's on the left side and the right side. Okay, I only have one V. So I'm just going to leave that V on the right side. And I'm actually going to take this positive 1N, bring it to the left side. I'm going to take this positive 5, and I'm going to bring that over the dotted line as well. All right, so when I do that move, don't forget the numbers changes operation. So this positive 1 will turn into a negative 1. The positive 5 will turn into a negative 5. All right, so please write what's there first. Okay, the 6 is on the left side, so I'm going to write that first. I'm going to write 6. When I bring the 1 over, it becomes negative 1. When I bring the 5 over, it's going to become negative 5. And this is all going to equal negative 2n. Once I have all my V's on one side and all my N's on the other, I just do the calculations. All right, so 6 minus 1 minus 5 is going to be 0 equals negative 2n. Okay, notice there's no other n here to add it to, so it just stays as negative 2n. Okay, this is not a final answer because I need the n to be by itself. I need it to be like a 1n. To do that, I divide both sides by the number in front of n, which is negative 2. Okay, so if you want to type this into your calculator, you would type 0 divided by negative 2, which would give you 0. Negative 2 divided by negative 2 is 1n. Again, if you want to write just n, you can just write n by itself. And that is the final answer. Okay, let's try another example. Okay, so step 1, draw a dotted line. Step 2, write the letters V's and N's above each term. Okay, this one's a V. This one is an N. This one is an N. And this one's a V. All right, so now I have V's on both sides. I have N's on both sides. So I need to move things around so that all the V's are on one side, all the N's on the other. All right, so I'm going to take this 8x and I'm going to move it to this side because I want the V's on the right side. If you want the V's on the left side, then move the 7 over. It's up to you. I'm going to do the same thing with this -9. Because I brought the V's to the right side, I'm going to take this -9 and I'm going to bring it to the left side. All right, so please remember you're going to write what's there first. So on the left side, I have a -2. Okay, so I know the question said 8x minus 2. But like I said before, minuses and negatives are interchangeable. Okay, so this is going to be a -2 now. When I bring the -9 over, it becomes a +9. On the right side, I have a plus 7x. When I bring the 8x over, it's going to be a -8x. Okay, so now my V's are on the right side, my N's are on the left side. Once I have that scenario, I just start calculating. Okay, so -2 minus 9 is going to be +7. +7 minus 8x is going to be -1x. Now, some of you might think this is a final answer, but if you try to remember what I said before, it has to be a 1x. Okay, so if you ever have a -1x, that is not your final answer. It has to be a 1x. Okay, so if you notice that it's a -1x, I need to get rid of the negative, and to get rid of it, I just divide it by -1. Okay, if I do that to this side, I got to do it to this side as well. 7 divided by -1 is -7. -1 divided by -1 is +1x. And this is how I get my final answer. All right, so please try to remember, I can't have a -1x or a -1a. Okay, the letter can never be a negative number. It has to be a positive number in front of the letter for it to be your final answer. All right, let's try one more example here. Okay, step 1, draw my dotted line. Step 2, write the letters V or N above each term. So this one's going to be a V. This one's going to be an N. This one's going to be a V. And this one's going to be an N. Okay, so I have 2 V's on the left side. There's no point of me bringing both of them to the right side and then bringing the 29 to the left side. It's just too much movement. All right, it'll be a lot easier if you just took this +11 and bring it to that side. That way I'm only moving one thing. All right, so on the left side, I'm going to have R plus 8R equals the right side, which is going to be the 29 that's originally there, minus 11. Okay, please don't forget when you bring a positive over to the other side on the dotted line, it becomes a negative. Okay, from here, some of you might get confused with what to do with this R. What do I do with this R? All right, so we kind of have to remember the rule. There's an imaginary 1 in front of the R. Okay, so when I have a letter by itself, there's an imaginary 1 in front of it. All right, so it's actually going to be 1R plus 8R, which gives you 9R. 29 minus 11 is 18. Okay, we're almost done. You're going to notice it's a 9R, but I need it to be a 1R. To get it to be a 1R, I need to divide both sides by 9. Okay, so my final answer is going to be 1r equals 2. And this is how you solve linear equations that have multiple steps. All right, so step 1, draw a dotted red line where the equal sign is. Step 2, write the letters V's and N's above each term. Step 3, bring all your V's to one side of the dotted line. Bring all your N's to the other side of the dotted line. Step 4, simplify. Step 5, isolate for R, or whatever letter you're looking for.